spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late. Now brave men died to keep you free. They paid the greatest price, so you could speak your mind and live a long and happy life. But I turn on the news and see us fighting with each other.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Peace Police broadcast. I know I started with the outro. It's been a little while. I played our outro instead of our intro, so I kind of faded it. But that's cool. It's good to be back. We are Lowell, Pass, and Rick White. We were here last week. Last week was a good broadcast. And this is my brother Lowell. Lowell and I, Lowell really is the founding visionary of the Peace Police, and he started this concept about 2 years ago now, Lowell. And
exactly 2 years.
Exactly 2 years. And here's the thing. What I want to talk about today, and you and I talked about this, is really, really important. But maybe 5 minutes or so of relevance of just talking about what happened a couple of years ago and why are we here? Why do we have the Peace Police? What happened?
Well, I had started thinking about the way that the civil division between the two sides here in America, the left and the right, was going. And you've seen that over the years.
Sure.
I've been around a long time. I'm almost 70 years old. So I've been from Kennedy all the way through Johnson, through all of them, all the Bushes, and I've seen, things go back and forth, but I've never seen the level of animosity and hatred and division that I started to see even about 4 or 5 years ago. And even many of us just were quiet during the Obama era. We didn't support him, but we didn't, like want to kill the other side or anything.
Right. Right, of course.
But this time with Trump running back in 2015, I began to see, boy, there's stuff really going on here. And then for about 2 years, I would just think about it occasionally. But then about 2 years ago, back in June, actually, for a little over 2 years ago, I had some successive dreams 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And there were dreams of the two sides fighting, bloody things burning, destruction, people being dragged out of car, all kinds of things. I saw this in these succession, and then I saw these other people rise in. They had, in this case, they had like red shirts with white letters that said "Peace Police."
Right.
And they were kind of in the middle, trying to tell everybody, "Hey, knock it off, y'all. We're supposed to be civil, and we're both Americans, and all this stuff." And it came into my head, this Peace Police, and so I called you up. I thought this is a crazy thing to see this 3 nights in a row. And then you think it's maybe it's God trying to tell me something. So I called you up, and you said, "Wow, that's amazing." And those things that we first started when we launched on July, I think 4th of 2018, we actually have seen come to pass, especially in the last 6 months, all those things we've been talking about. If you go back to our original shows, and I had a feeling even, Rick, that the Peace Police would be a long-term thing. It would be what carries through to the next couple of elections, or at least the next presidency, or whatever, with more division and fighting than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so it may not be relative to too many people right now because they don't know about it. We're not well funded or connected in some kind of major way. We're not Kanye West,
No.
But someone is going to notice that, look, there's people in the middle trying to say, knock this off. We may be too late for that, Rick. I'll just got to be frank.
Yeah,
we may be too late.
It's hard to say, bro, and you're right. And maybe the purpose of what we've done up to this point will be for people to find,
these messages.
Find these messages in some underground way 30 years from now when all our freedoms are taken away. But what's
people think that's crazy.
I know.
We can review some of them today.
Listen, if we wanted to, we could broadcast, and I that's so funny. Maybe we'll need to do this next week, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But we should rebroadcast some of those initial broadcasts that talked about if we don't, in fact, the song even says it, our theme
The
song.
song you wrote says it.
If we don't fix this soon, there's going to be chaos in the streets. There's no more time to lose. We've got to stand and spread the peace. We have chaos in the streets. You know what? Daylight shootings in New York City have doubled since this pandemic.
And since they started defunding the police,
since everything that's come out of this, and unfortunately, there are nefarious groups who do not want peace at all. They're bent on they're bent on revolution, and they believe it's going to be a not a peaceful, bloody revolution.
Like a Castro and like a Cuban type. Yeah.
They've said, and some of these people are running for office. They said the Constitution's outdated. It's just not the basis.
Yeah, they come right out and started saying this.
They said all the people that wrote it were white slave owner racist pigs, basically. And so America, the concept of America's always been the great experiment. What's the great experiment? It's always been that government has to be tamed, because we came from Great Britain, right, where there was a kingdom and there wasn't challenges, and we said, no, government's got to be tamed. How do you tame it? Well, we make states and a federal government. That's the first way. That's pretty crazy. A federal system, where the federal government only gets involved in very rare cases, but yet it keeps the country together. This was a great experiment, and it was based on as little interference and regulation of your life as possible, because they had just come from that and they trusted that.
Yeah, it was individual liberty, property ownership, hands off except for guarding the borders. Yeah. And if there's people out of control or something.
And whatever you need to protect yourself, whether it's a musket or a bow and arrow or whatever, of course. Because you know why? Because you're going to eat with that too, and this is the way it is, and no one's going to be afraid if they see a guy walking around with a gun, because that's just like your shoes, right? I mean, it was a different time, of course. But but the bottom line is this. Now, since these people want to remake America to where it's just not like what you and me and any one of us are used to anymore. And it's a place it's not America. It's just not America. What people want to happen is to overthrow America. They're doing it in Portland. The DA won't even prosecute people who are, they're doing things like breaking into Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah, cripple kids.
Tell me that's a grievance. That's the man that you're robbing from. You're not robbing from the man there. You're robbing from sick, sore, hurting, crippled children. What we're seeing in the streets, though, I'm not trying to be a downer, but Lowell, I think it was prophetic, and we don't use that word a lot on this show. But you had dreams, and in these dreams, you saw what we're seeing now, and worse. You saw worse, right?
I saw the fires too. I saw many fires. And lately I was seeing some of the montages of the fires, and I couldn't even believe it. It was like I was watching my own dream.
It's crazy, and that's what I felt when this first started unfolding. This pandemic, when it first started unfolding, I thought I was watching that movie, like that movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. It's just like every piece of it was like fitting this script, and it was weird. And then on top of that, you've got this call to defund the police, and you've got people of all races. This isn't a racist thing. You've got people of all colors in the streets breaking into businesses and stealing
looting,
stuff.
Stealing.
And who owns these businesses? Most of them are actually minority-owned businesses. And they're people who've been struggling to own. Listen, I've owned a business. You've owned businesses. That doesn't make you rich, does it?
Not at all. In fact, you pay your employees before you, if there's anything left. And if you're profitable, you maybe live above in the upper middle class.
That's about it. You could. I work for a company. I'm an IT guy or whatever. If I start my own business, and even the first couple years, 3, 4 years, I might not. Right. I might not make half what I make now. And the point is just this: these people are average poor people who need, who are trying to, not necessarily poor, but just average people who are trying to make it in this world. And these thugs on the streets that are doing what they're doing, they are not doing it for racial equality.
They're not doing it for George Floyd.
None of the ones. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying the ones that are breaking into stores,
being violent, they even killed a black store owner that was trying to defend his little business.
So I mean, it's blown. So we're blown away. I'm blown away, Lowell, because I really feel like what you saw is happening. So you and I talked. We worked together on some concepts, and we came up with these 3 core values.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh! If the world ever needed, if the United States, if New York City and Chicago ever needed these 3 values, it's right now, and they're peace, civility, and discourse. Be civil, be peaceful.
The discourse is gone already.
Since
we started this,
that's gone. The one. That's the one that you hope for. You want to get the discourse because then real things can change. But revolutions don't work this way. Revolutions work like unrest and lack of peace and fear and overthrow and death. And then
brainwashing and control. Many of the people that go out with goodness in their heart, thinking they're doing good by protesting and whatever, they don't really even know what they're protesting, but they're protesting for something bad, okay?
Right.
Against it, okay? That's what they believe. But in every revolution, those type of people are used. They're what's called I don't mean to say this directly to anybody. What's known in socialist circles as useful idiots.
Right. That's just a term that was coined by the architects of this kind of stuff.
Because they're pawns that can be thrown out in the street by the thousands to be used by the ones who are later just going to gobble them up too. Because they won't be part. And they'll wake up and say, what have we done? Just like in Venezuela and so many, every single socialist country. I even got into a discussion with a guy the other day that said, you're confusing Marxism and calling it Marxism when that's not the same as socialism and communism. I said, listen, it's exactly the same. Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto. And they also had the transition from the soft core socialism, into the harder, and then it ends up in communistic control, no personal freedom, no independent rights, no property ownership. Everything is for the good of the whole. And they say for the common good.
Right. Right. It's weird, Lowell. It's
sounds in theory like it'd be great, but
no, there's wisdom in what the founding fathers came up with. There's real wisdom there. Does that mean they were all the most moral people? Absolutely not.
No.
It doesn't. Just like we've talked before, if I want, heart surgery, I want the best heart surgeon in America to operate on me. Do I care if he's a Democrat or Republican or other things? All I care about is that you're great at this, right? And so it's like, these folks are I mean, the way things are going right now, it's everything we thought might happen. The lines are drawn. It is Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal,
But it's really Democrat of the years
no,
past.
It's not the old Democrat. Really, here's what it really is. It's Trump supporters and Trump haters.
That's exactly right.
There's nothing else. There are Trump supporters and Trump haters. And some of the Trump supporters are Democrats. And some of the Trump haters,
more than you might imagine.
And some of the Trump haters are Republicans.
That's true.
There's people I just can't even believe that I used to really think were kind of sound thinkers that are just
I can't believe it.
Yeah, they're never Trumpers.
The governor of one state who was on Fox as a
now he's speaking for Joe Biden, and so here's the bottom line: we're more divided, Lowell, than we were 2 years ago when we started thinking about this. And now there's proof. We sounded like nuts probably in the beginning. Listen, if we don't, even that song, if we don't stop this soon, there's going to be chaos in the streets.
Think about that prophetic song.
That's insane. And so the song we're talking about is called "Spread the Peace." You heard actually more of it than you were supposed to hear in the beginning because I was playing like the ending credits instead of the beginning credits. That was on me. But the bottom line is you can get that song on iTunes. It's called "Spread the Peace"
Get it and listen to it.
by Rick White. And all it says is, brave men died to keep us free. They gave the greatest price so you and I could speak our minds and live a long and happy life. But I turn on the news, I see us fighting with each other. These hateful attitudes are turning brother against brother. Hey, Lowell, even there, God.
Even their families.
God, cover me. Lowell, we've talked about my family, and I've lost close cousins and others, Guess what, man? Now I feel like I've lost a daughter to this divide. Could you imagine? I mean, to the point where I
hope not. I don't believe so.
Yeah, I hope not. But I mean, it's like I've been disowned.
No, I know the feeling. I mean,
by people as close as you can be.
My kids' marriages, yeah.
No, I mean, yeah. So it's tough, and you know what? I hate that. I hate to see families. We've always talked politics around the dinner table, and then we just left it and loved each other and played games and watched television.
Exactly.
It's not like that anymore. You either like Trump. No, I was told this the other day. I was told that I am a racist.
I've heard that for
because
5 years.
I am because I am white, and
because you're white, right?
Because of two factors. I am white and not anti-racist enough. I'm not.
Yeah, to meet their narrative, their need. Yeah.
In other words, I'm white, and because I'm white, I should dedicate my life to fighting racism and reparations in that. So if you don't do that, like you said, what they consider to be, then you are a white person who is not against racism. It reminds me of, I think we talked about that last week, of that, there's an episode of The Office where he's like, you guys, I'll say you hate drugs, but you don't hate them as much as me. He was trying to do that to get out of a drug test because he knew he was, and it's the same thing. It's like, it's gas. Thank you. It's gaslighting. Who's more anti-racist? It's almost theological.
Yeah.
More anti. Who's more not? It's like, are you more not a tree than me, Lowell? No, we're both not trees.
Well, plus it does help to have to go back and study a little history, even before the history you want to start at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to go back before that, and then you'll see that all the races had slavery and stuff like that. It didn't make ours right. That was a blemish on our country. That got corrected, by the way, by the only country who corrected it, and the first one who did it and has done it the best, the USA. So instead of applauding the progress that has been made, and a guy like Trump, who has statistically and historically is just not open for debate, helped the black community more than anyone has, any president.
Right.
And even guys like what is his name?
Terrell.
That was hard left.
Oh, he's so great. Yeah.
And he said, that's nonsense. I mean, let's go by the facts. So facts, don't matter. I even heard Attorney General Barr talking about this. He said, the problem is that law and facts and truth don't matter anymore. It's what narrative they have and the narrative on the other side. And he said, somehow we lost the truth, the facts, and the actual. It's crazy because you can even point out things. And so all this stuff, if Trump says something works, like hydroxychloroquine, everybody, piles on the news, the crazy news left that is controlled completely by one or two corporations. They come out and say it's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, but how about these 700 doctors that have used it and cured 30,000 patients? They won't let you even say what people outside of the country, doctors, MDs, researchers, scientists, now they're all part of the sham. I mean, that's nuts, man.
It's sad. It's sad. And I think one thing that
sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, you're right.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. And there are a lot of people out there that write opinions, okay? So there's a lot of stuff out there if you want to really research and learn.
You can.
But people don't want to, and so instead, it's like the path of least resistance. And you know what that is? Network television. And guess what? You're not getting the truth.
No.
That's a fact. You're not getting the truth. But it's going to take effort to get the truth. You're going to have to study.
And for instance, stay out of Google. Go on over to DuckDuckGo or something, or one of those.
Right.
And those search engines, and put in some of the things you're looking for, and you'll find all kinds of scientists, researchers, everything in opposition to what you would find on CNN and everything else. And I hate to say this, even Google.
Because they're filtering. That's right.
They're filtering the stuff, so you can't get to Dr. So-and-so and this scientist and that. You can't get to them to see the opposing things. Just like, even though we won't say here anything to do with the side, but even if you're anti-vax or pro-vax,
right?
If you try to go on Google anything else, you'll be gaslighted.
That's right. Yeah.
Instead of looking at the 80 books and 40,000 scientists and doctors who say,
right.
No, we're not for those.
Right. No. You're right. It's and Google. You're right. Google has become so big, and so has Facebook, that they want to influence society, and they do, and they influence elections, and they are run almost completely, all of them, every news station, almost, and they're all run by hyper political, hyper far left Democrats, liberals. Forget about Democrats, far left liberals, like people who really wish we were socialists. And so if that's where you're getting your info about who Donald Trump is, you don't know who Donald Trump is, because they're only going to tell you that he's the devil, that he's Hitler, So it's sad.
Oh yeah, I used to, and I still occasionally when I'm on the net, I'll get into a discussion with somebody, but Trump, they look at something Trump did in his past or something, like he's on his third marriage, and so I said, well, I know, but he wasn't caught in the White House in the Oval Office doing things, with
ungodly things. Yeah.
And I said, you're bringing this stuff up. I said, but Moses was divorced, married. I said, so if we're going to do that, then no past is redeemable. Yeah. I go by what is results that are happening now, the politics, the positions, and that's what I go by. That's why we're for Trump, not because we like Trump. I don't hate him.
And not because we condone his...
I don't know him.
Right.
I don't know him.
I don't know him either. And not because we condone his moral failures. Of course we don't.
Of course we don't. And to even attach those together and bridge them together as one thought is nonsense.
It is
because
nonsense.
That can be applied to every human on the planet.
And that's the key right there.
Jesus,
that's,
of course.
Of course. But that's the key there, Lowell, is the same people that will decry Donald Trump as an evil billionaire,
playboy,
misogynistic, egotistical, racist jerk,
Nazi.
Support others who are worse than him in every category, but they just happen to be liberal, and that is the hypocrisy. It's not about what's wrong with Donald Trump. It's that Donald Trump doesn't agree with your politics. That's the problem,
Yeah, and when somebody calls it out, like the governor of Virginia says, no, we'll keep the baby, on the subject of abortion, no, we'll keep the baby comfortable, wrapped, and, until it's decided, and then if the parents don't want him, we'll terminate him. You see, you got 19 Democrats that even support that in 4 states, that even support after they're born. And then you're worried about whether Trump, who is a millionaire from New York, might have had a fling with another girl. By the way, did they ever tell you that his 2 former wives love him still and support him as president? I mean, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
You don't get the whole story, but
Listen,
you can find it if you want to do your due diligence. You can.
You're right. And you know what? Sometimes the story is what's not on television. These other news agencies who really, really hate Trump, don't you think if they could get those wives to turn, they would have turned by
Oh,
now.
they tried. They tried to capture the Ivana or whatever her name
Ivanka.
is. Not the daughter, but Ivana, the first
Oh,
wife.
Ivana, yeah.
Yeah.
The daughter's Ivanka, yeah.
Yeah, and she said, "Oh no, are you kidding? He'd be the best president, and he has been the best president." You know, I mean, it says because he knows what he's doing.
Right.
She says that's nothing to do with how our relationship.
Right.
It has to do with whether or not he can handle that, and there's nobody better than that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you just can't get past that, but you can try to cover it up so nobody hears it.
Right. And that's what they do. It's crazy, brother.
Gotta
But
be
you know
crazy.
what?
I know we've gone a long
That's all right.
time, but man, this is serious stuff.
It is. And you know what? You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And that's a key thing. And most of America is not getting the truth if all you watch is major networks. And to tie this back to the peace police, those folks have a vested interest in causing the thing that the peace police is against, not supposed to be. We are against. They have a vested interest in riots in the streets and defunding police and chaos, because then they can come in with a new kind of government. And I know that sounds conspiratorial.
Well, and even Rick, that's just one part of the multifaceted attack. Like with COVID, yes, it's a real virus, but why does it have strains that look like it was created in a lab that was funded by Democrats?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't say conspiracy when the spines on it, they're not a natural thing. They were introduced into that called function gain. And if you study this stuff, scientists will tell you, you don't have to listen to CNN or Fox or anything. The scientists themselves will tell you.
That's right.
And it's there for you to listen to. And then it's the playing of it to the point of, no, everyone, 7 billion of us, let me just put it for next week, something we might talk about, is 7 billion of you are going to have to be vaccinated over and over at least 4 to 5 times. And every one of you are going to have to do it. Now, listen, for a virus that has 99.6% survival rate, why don't they start with something that only has a 20%?
Yeah, because it's a convenient way to take control, and some of us see it, Lowell, and frankly, some see it and want it to happen anyway. I mean, this is intentional.
Yeah, some do, but I'm just worried about I've always been worried about the innocent sheep who get played in the middle, and they just don't do enough research.
Right.
And they think, someone tells them, that Rick and Lowell are crazy or whatever, or, they say, yeah, well, how about all the links and resources that you look? No, I didn't get a chance to look at any of them. Well, listen, look at all of them.
Right. That's right.
And then tell me how crazy I'm being.
Exactly.
Because I don't go down the rabbit hole into these absolute nutty conspiracies. But when things start to surface, like there's another thing they can't hide, and that is that over I think it's 1,700 or 2,700, I'm not sure on the number, children disappear every day.
Every day.
And we're worried about, and no one knows where they go. And let me tell you something. It's going to be found out, and they're already on it big time. It's almost ready to be exposed,
We're in for a lot of crazy stuff. Even Donald Trump said expect a bunch of important announcements over the next 70 days before the election. Stuff's happening. I think, Lowell, the next, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, the fertilizer's going to hit the ventilator, brother. And
yeah, there's nothing this little group can do to stop what's going to happen. But what we can start doing is planting the seeds for whatever happens, whether Trump wins or whether the blue side wins. We're going to find out which way this country goes, and the other half of them are not going to like it.
That's right. That's right, because we're going to seek for the truth, whatever it is, and tell it. Because that's what we're called to do. And we'll be here until we can't be here anymore, huh, bro? All right. So go to peacepolice.net, peacepolice.net. You can get one of these hats. We're out of time, but These are cool. These are not stickers.
Embroidered,
It's
nice.
embroidered. They're nice. You can get them, and the money will help us try to get this message out and grow this audience. It's our goal, obviously.
Actually, it will cause people to ask you, what is that? And
That's
then you'll
right.
get a chance to say, I want to knock off the violence and hate.
That's right. Peace police. We're policing ourselves to make sure that we don't jump in when people start getting violent and organizing, that kind of stuff. So anyway, you can get the hats. You can check out that song, Spread the Peace. You can, if you feel to, you can click a Patreon button right there on our site. Again, peacepolice.net. And you can support us. And trust me, there's no big money behind this. We do this with our own funds. And what do we do? You heard about it. Peace, civility, and discourse. We're telling people, you got to calm down or we're in big trouble.
It's got to be a central force in this,
right,
that come and say, no, we're Americans first.
Right.
And we're not going to participate in these extremes.
That's right. I'd love to see 10,000 of these hats.
Yep.
Peppered all over. That could happen.
It could.
God willing. Share this video. Tell people about the Peace Police. We'll see you next week, okay? God bless you.
God bless.
Stop the hate, let's work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate, let's work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate, let's work together.